Welcome to the Real Estate 401k Show. Here are your hosts, Ryan Gerdes, Mike Weinstein, and Justin Frederick, helping you build a legacy of wealth through real estate. Powered by the Recon Group at West USA and the Frederick team with Fairway Mortgage. NMLS number 625918.
All right, well, there's no better way to kick this off than talk about the giant elephant in the room. Justin, you look like somebody just punched you in the eye, man.
Football just started, and my wife punched me right in the eye. Said, "You need to get off of that TV."
No means no.
Well, Ryan's lucky. He's sitting on the other side. I don't know if I'm going to be able to not stare at that thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just right there.
You're welcome.
In my face. Well, guys, we've spent so much time talking about rates, imploring people to not let interest rates keep you from the market, especially for investment purposes, And we're also going to get into a little bit later on talking about if you own a home and you're thinking about selling it, and especially if you got a low interest rate, text options to 623-AZ-RECON first before you make a grave mistake. But we've got some stats here. It really kind of supports what we've been saying. But according to Zillow, rents for apartments have gone up 39% since COVID. So the average rent prior or in March 2020 was $1,408. It is now in the greater Phoenix area at $1,949. The numbers are similar as far as the percentages of going up as far as single-family homes. What's your response to this? What do you make out of this, Ryan?
This scares the shit out of me, man. I'm looking at this stuff, and we've talked about it week over week. You know, what gives, prices or rents? Because when you're in a market where it costs more to rent than it does to own, when it costs more to own than it does for rent, then some line has to move, right? And so I look at this and I say, okay. They're keeping interest rates at 7%, right? Who do you think is going to be more stubborn, the investor or the tenant? So I look at this.
The person with the money.
Right. And so
the person who can be.
Right. And so these numbers are only going to go up the longer that interest rates stay up.
Absolutely.
Well, according to Reed Butler, the Butler Housing Company, his quote, what he said is, "I've been in the business for 40 years, and I've never seen pressure on rents like we've seen in the last 3 years." Everybody, Justin, is focusing on the interest rate, allowing the interest rate to hold them back from investing in real estate or even buying in real estate. And even if you've never owned a home, we're going to encourage you to buy your first home, live in it for 2 years, and turn it into a rental property. There is a huge demand for rental properties. We talk about the demand or the inventory problems that we're having with single-family homes, but we're not having that problem when it comes down to rents, and it's going to continue to get worse. Lock in now.
Well, and one of the things that we try to educate our customers on is, if you're going to have to bite the bullet and take on a mortgage payment. But the thing is, when you get into a 30-year fixed mortgage payment, your payment's not going to adjust except for the difference of taxes and insurance annually. Whereas this is prime example. Rent's gone up 39% in a little over 3 years. That's wild to me. Whereas if you were in a 30-year fixed mortgage, you're not going to have to deal with those increases or figure out where you're going to go.
And guys, we see it all the time. Renter is in there, and you bring up a great point. Once you have a fixed mortgage, your payment is not going to go up outside of insurance and as you mentioned, property taxes and so forth. But we've seen it so many times over the last couple of years where somebody's been renting a home for X amount of dollars. The lease is now coming up, and they want to renew the lease, and they're getting a letter from their landlord saying, "Oh, that's great, but your rent's gone up $850."
Yeah. I was just running. So one of our clients, she has a tenant in there, and they haven't raised rents in like 3 years on them. And so I'm talking to her, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Right? Like, and so, well, there's no affordable housing up there, and the fact that we can offer this, it makes us feel good, and so on and so forth, and we really like them because they always pay on time, they pay in full, and so I was like, all right, well, I mean, that's your business, right? If you can do whatever you want with your money and your real estate. Yesterday, I get a text message. Yeah, they still haven't paid this month's rent yet. And I'm like, I wonder if
They
this guy
screwed up.
I wonder if they know that the $1,200 a month that they're spending on rent is easily going to be $2,000 a month
Exactly.
for something that's like what they are already.
They
in.
probably don't.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
If I had that kind of lease, I would do whatever it took to be in the good graces of the landlord.
Absolutely.
And so like stories like that, I see things like this, and I went from 1408 in March of 2020 up to 1949 as of July this year. Am I reading that right?
Yeah,
No,
that's for apartment
that's
rents.
accurate.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a 35, 40%,
39%.
39%.
Yeah. And just in 3 years, I'll bet you we see it
Mm-hmm.
split in the next 5.
So the strategy here, Justin, is, and we've been talking about it because we've talked about rates. Rates are high. They are what they are. And our strategy is, because rates are high, many buyers are sitting on the fence, and therefore we are scooping up homes at really great prices.
Yeah.
Because of the lack of activity in the real estate market. So buy today. Take that high interest rate. We talked about last week that we're expecting by the end of 2024 for rates to be in the mid 4s. Then you refinance then, and then you get the best of both worlds, because if you wait till then, if you wait till rates to get to 5.5%, 4.5%, you're going to be paying considerably more for a house.
Not only are you going to be paying more for the house, but it's not guaranteed that the rates are going to fall, right? So how long are you going to be riding out these increases when we know that rents are going to continue to rise? But there's products that combat the interest rates, the 2-1 buy down, the 3-2-1 buy down. There are seller concessions out there to possibly be had, and if you're not emotionally attached to properties and you have a goal of a product in mind, you can keep jumping from property to property and ask for concessions so a seller can pay for these costs, and we're seeing it. There's all kinds of ways that we can work through this. Maybe permanent buy downs, things like that we can talk through, educate you about the product.
Yeah, and Ryan, we got two groups of people that we're talking with right now. We're talking to first-time home buyers. Your rent's going to go up if it hasn't already, and it's going to continue to go up. It's going to continue to go up. But this, for me, is great news as an investor, because as an investor, I am motivated to buy my next couple houses before rates drop so I can get a good deal on a home. I don't want to buy homes at the prices they're going to be when rates drop at 4.5%. This is a true investment strategy.
And right here towards the end of the article, it talks about how they're basically doing away with B-grade type of rental properties. And for me, I love that, because if I can go put more money into indoor homes and make them nicer, and people are going to treat them better, and I'm going to have ultimately better resale value on these things. So the market is there for it, and people are spending money, and tenants are paying those higher premiums because they want nice stuff. So I mean, for me, I can't get my money out of my wallet fast enough to buy more of these things, and if you're not, then before you know it, you're just going to find yourself broke.
Right. I mean, as an investor, it's showing us that we're going to get more rent year over year, right? And market values are increasing. Zillow just came out and said that we saw a 1.4 increase in the last month nationwide.
Well, and Ryan talks about he can't get the money out of his wallet fast enough. I mean, you should see how he responds to an 83-inch TV that's a year old now. he couldn't get money out of his wallet fast enough.
You say it best every year when the Super Bowl comes around. Everyone just reminds you that you need a bigger TV.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so if you're looking for options and you're looking for investment strategy, we want you to text the word option to 623-AZ-RECON. That's option to 623-AZ-RECON. The other group of people, Ryan, I want to talk to are those that own a home and they're thinking about selling their home because they want to go buy home number 2. And I can't even count how many conversations that I have with our listeners, and we talk about when we show up on a listing appointment, when someone calls us and says, I want to sell my home, when we show up with options, had you considered not selling your home? Have you considered turning it into an investment property? Here's your cap rate. Here's your pro forma. And one of the popular responses I get from people is, well, if I don't sell my home, how do you make money? I'm like, well, I don't make money. Okay, if you want to sell your home, I'm going to make some money, but this is about you. This is about your legacy. This is about your personal wealth.
Our partnerships and the relationships that we build because we do these things consistently with everybody, with awesome information and great data, that just creates more opportunity. I mean, ultimately, we want you to buy more and never sell any of them, right? And so we're able to build out and like have those building blocks there of all that future business, because the more money you make, the better we do too.
Yeah.
So the math is simple, really.
So it's about understanding your options. Don't just simply sell your home because you got to buy home number 2. Justin, I know you face this all the time. People don't want to buy a house because interest rates are high, but they're okay with that. They are just sitting on a interest rate right now in their existing home that's, 3.25%, 3.5%. And so they become paralyzed and they don't understand. Take that 3.5% out for a spin as an investment property.
Absolutely.
We're telling you, don't sell.
Right. I mean, you're talking about a huge ROI, a huge return of investment on. I mean, it's basically like cash sitting there, and it's so easy to get a home equity line of credit these days. If you need the funds to purchase another home, it is so easy to obtain a home equity line of credit with all the AI that's going along with the approvals within home equity lines of credit. And there's so many different build outs of the product that we can go after too. So absolutely. And you guys are great at giving them those numbers, and they can compare those to what their monthly payment's going to be with an additional loan on there. And it still tends to work out with you when you have a 3% or 4%.
And Ryan, we'll wrap up with this. We take it a few steps deeper, because a lot of people do, hey, I don't want to be a landlord. Or, I've thought about renting out my house, and maybe they make that decision to rent out their house. It's more than just a decision. It's understanding the numbers. It's doing the research, which we do. We provide that for our listeners. It's not as simple as a yes or no decision. You have to know the market. You have to know your area. You have to know your home. You have to know your cap rate. You have to know these things and do the homework.
We try to remove as much emotion as possible. So the metaphor that I always give everybody is, I want you to picture your home as just a bank account, right? When's the last time you ever walked into your bank and said, hey, can you fan out all my money so I can look at it, touch it, smell it, and breathe on it? No. You have your statement. You know what your numbers are doing. You know what your expenditures are. You know what your budget is. Leave it alone. Like, quit. Don't lose any sleep over it. Go over there and approach it like a business. And then once we can establish that wiring, then it makes following the systems and the processes so much easier.
Well, it is all about knowing your options. We implore you, for the benefit for you and your family, before you put your house on the market, before you list your home, explore those options. Talk to a real estate wealth manager. It is what we do. It's what differentiates us from other real estate professionals out there, because we're going to come and show you all the options. We're going to show you yes, if you want to sell, that's option 1. But what happens if you hold on to that option? We'd love to hold on to that home, but we'd love to have that discussion with you. All you got to do is text the word option to 623-AZ-RECON. That's option to 623-AZ-RECON.
Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate 401k Show. If you want more information on how to build wealth, click on the link or text us at 623-297-3266. That's 623-AZ-RECON.